I'm going to show you how you can make this card here. So this is special in that this image is not a background image. It's an image that's going to be within a container, and then we have a heading stacked on top of it. So let's jump over to Elementor and I'll show you how all of this is done. Here we are in Elementor. What persons would normally do is to create a container. So let's create a container here, and then they'd give this some height. Then they'd add the image as a background image. So let me just add this, and then let's do center, center, no repeat, and cover. So when it's like this, you would have to make sure that you stretch the container to fill it, and then you can go ahead and add like a heading here, and then position that heading within the container to be within the center, just like this. And that would be fine, but then when you start to do responsive design, you'll see that the background is going to be all messed up. You don't want this to be a background image. You want it to be an image. You want it to be a separate element. So let's delete all of this. Then we're going to create a grid. So this is what you need to do. You need to use a grid and not a container. So let's remove all the gaps and also any margin or padding from the grid. The grid needs to also have 2 columns, and we're going to use 4 rows. Once you have your grid, we can now add our image to the grid. So this is our image, and then we're going to select the image that we want from our gallery. Then what will happen is that the grid will resize itself based on the size of the image. So you need to specify in the grid the size of the rows that you want. The way you do that is by going at layouts, go down to rows, select FR here, the drop down, and then select this edit button. We're going to delete all the 1FRs and we're going to replace it with 100 pixels. So you're going to do this 4 times. And now we have 4 rows, each of 100 pixels. Now all we need to do is to go ahead and give our image a class name. So this is, let's call it service card. And then we want to go ahead and tell the image exactly where to go. So go to additional CSS, and under here, I'm just going to paste the position for our image. If I scroll down, you'll see it down here. Then I can just hit publish, and when I go back to Elementor, I need to refresh the page, scroll down, and now I have my image, which is centered inside this grid. So now we just need to resize the grid to fit the image. So let's decrease this a bit to that size. So now that we have our image positioned within the grid, now we need to add our heading to the grid. So I'm going to select the grid, create a container for the heading, and then add the heading element within the container. I'm going to call this consulting and change the typography to heading and also change the color to white. Now that I have my container, I want the container to be in this general area here. So I'm going to give this container a class name as well. This class name is card title. Did I spell that right? Card title. Publish it, and then I'm going to do the same thing. Go over into my additional CSS, and then I'm just going to add the grid area to that class. These are, I typed them out before. It's pretty much your starting row, starting column, ending row, ending column, and you can count them out to see exactly where they go. So I just need to publish this, go back to Elementor, refresh the page, scroll all the way down again, and then there's my consulting. Now, this consulting is not positioned in the center, so I need to select the container that it is in, justify content to the center, and align items to the center. Now, when I publish, close this preview, open a new preview, and I scroll down, there we have our card all created. And then from here, it's very easy. I can just duplicate this. Where's the duplicate? Publish. And now we have all three cards created, and I can just focus on now giving it some space and adding in the additional content. So this is the way that you want to do stacking when it comes to web design in WordPress. Use your grids. Don't just use containers and backgrounds. This is a whole lot easier and way better to manage. If I go now and I start to do responsive design, as you can see, the positioning of the image is not changing and everything remains the same. So I hope that helps. Stay tuned as we go through building out this site. And if there's anything interesting I see come up, I'll let you know.